Okay, looks like everyone's settled who's going to come for this show. Uh, the last talk. It's a show, right, Bob?
Yeah, right.
All right. Our speaker this afternoon, Bob Bourne, is brought to you from by Ames, A Glimpse Inside, and the Ames Historical Museum. Bob is actively involved in researching and presenting railroad and bus history in Iowa at the Ames History Museum, the James H. Andrew Museum and History Center at Boone and Scenic Valley Railroad, and the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at Iowa State. He was the manager of CyRide from 1981 to 2006 and is now a transit consultant who specializes in improving bus service in small urban, rural, university, and tribal systems. So please welcome Bob.
Okay, thank you. Happy to be here and always happy to talk about trains and buses. And I guess do I have to hit okay? Good. All right, good. Okay, so this material that I'm going to do today is about streamliners. It's a pretty narrow part of railroad history. Um, I got this information from a lot from the Boone and Scenic Valley, their library over there, my personal library. I did a talk at OLLI and with Stuart Buck. So I used a lot of this I stole from Stuart Buck. So that's what we railroad guys do is we borrow from each other. And then I've been involved with the Ames History Museum for a long time. They have a new exhibit over there about the people of Ames and the 250th anniversary, and it's really worth the effort to get over there at some point between now and November. So streamliners. I hit the down button. Here we go. All right. So we're going to more or less talk about 1934 to about 1954. That was the height of the streamliner era. The streamliners came, oh, and so some of these slides are borrowed. So this talk is not sponsored by Humanities Iowa, but the talks over in Boone were. So I just took the slides that I had used over there. And of course, I don't know how to change the background. So that's why you're going to see a lot of different backgrounds on these slides. So first, we're going to talk about the routes and then we'll talk a little bit about the equipment, a little bit about the services, and then just a little bit about Ames. So Chicago, of course, was the east, where the east met west. The lines to the east terminated in Chicago, and lines from the west terminated in Chicago. And we're finally going to get a transcontinental railroad here in a couple of years that will at least move freight without having to do the transfers in Chicago. So there were several lines across Iowa. We had the Rock Island line, Chicago to Joliet through Quad Cities and then Iowa City. And this still exists today as the Iowa Interstate. And I see Phil Baumel in the audience here, who was instrumental in making that happen when the Rock Island went out of business. We had the Chicago and Northwestern, which is the Union Pacific, which comes through Ames, Cedar Rapids, Ames, and then to Omaha. Then we had the Milwaukee Road, which was Chicago, across the river at Savannah, had a stop in Marion, and then went to Omaha. It was primarily a northern railroad, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and that, but this was their one of their lines to the south. And that's now the bike trail where the bridges, the high bridge there by Madrid, that right of way is the old Milwaukee Road. And one of the reasons you have bike paths on old railroads is because railroads try not to build a grade more than 1%, a rise of 1 foot per 100, and that makes it really easy on bicycles. So we also had the Illinois Central, which ran from Chicago to New Orleans, but it had an Illinois-Iowa branch, and that went through Dubuque and Waterloo, and that still exists as the Canadian National Railroad. And then we have the Chicago Great Western, and we even have ex-Great Western employees in this audience. And that went through Dubuque, Olwine, and then down to Fort Dodge, and that's all pretty much abandoned now. So those were the routes of the streamliners. We also had some north-south ones. I apologize, this was a different source, but we did have north-south streamliners, And so we had the Twin Star rocket, which was Minneapolis to Kansas City. And then we had the Zephyr rocket, which was Minneapolis to St. Louis. And the railroads branded themselves. So the Zephyrs, anything with the word Zephyr in it, was the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, the Burlington route. The Rockets were the Rock Island Railroad. The Hiawathas were the Milwaukee, and then the city of several cities. The city trains were on the Union Pacific and the Northwestern. So when you have the Zephyr rocket, that means part of it was on the Rock Island, and then part of it from Burlington south was to St. Louis was on the Burlington route. So, and then of course the Illinois Central didn't brand much of anything, so they just called it the Land of Corn, which was their train name. So I want to talk a little bit about streamlining in a bigger sense, not just in the railroad sense. So streamlining became prevalent in the 1930s, late 20s, 1930s, and it was about ease of movement. The United States was moving much faster that time. The trains were faster. We now had automobiles, and there was even the beginning of air service. So streamlining was a design element, not just for trains. So the elements were rounded edges. The windows were rounded corners. Within the cars, there was glass dividers that you could see, a lot of chrome, smooth surfaces on the train, on the sides of the train, as opposed to the riveted surfaces. And then the coloring was different too. So we had more of a subdued coloring in the cars and on the exteriors. And it was applied to everything: automobiles, trains, buses, airplanes, Airstream campers, and then even bicycles. So a couple of quick examples. This was a train example. This was one of the failures of streamlining, but it's a really neat picture. This was a design with, they tried to emulate buses, so they had really small cars only on 2 axles instead of 4 axles, and didn't ride well. But it really looked good. So not too many of those were made. A lot of things look good and don't function, and this was a classic example of that. Automobiles, of course, in the 1940s, I had a 1947 Plymouth in 1970 something, and restored it, and I really liked the look of it, the lines of it. It was real streamlined. I only got about 12 miles a gallon, but it looked good. And then buses, small buses and big buses. Airstream campers were very common. You don't see them anymore. Wally Byam used to have a convention here at Iowa State every 3 years or something, for up into the early 90s. And then my favorite was the bicycle, because every boy had a Schwinn bicycle and you rode it all over the place. So there were a couple other elements. I'll just go through them quickly. Things like clocks, radios. You can just see the continuity of design on these, the appearance, really a break from the past. And some people may even have some of these left, and some of these exhibits are at the Ames History Museum, believe it or not, in our collections. So a couple of pictures here. This is like an office stapler. This is a hood ornament. People in this audience may know what a hood ornament is. Young people, when you say hood ornament, they have no idea what you're talking about. This was the Greyhound bus, the Scenic cruiser, which there used to be a lot of them when we had Greyhound. And then this was, of course, this was a fan on a desk, but it was an airplane design. And then for younger people, I asked them if they know what this is, and you should all know what this is. Flash Gordon, remember the spaceship Flash Gordon? So if you don't, just Google it. Google Flash Gordon. So let's get serious for a second here. The McKean motor car was the first streamliner, and this was called a wind splitter. And the center of the front of the car was like a V, so that the wind would go around it instead of the blunt face, and that reduced your friction. And William McKean figured that out in 1905. He worked for the Union Pacific and then later created the McKean car company. So he had the wind splitter design here, And then he took it with rounded windows and completely different design. There were no round window trains in 1905. And then it had a low step, which was interesting because most of the trains you had to step up several steps to get in there. But this was designed for branch lines, and this could be the entire train. You had the engineer and fireman up here, and the head brakeman, and then the power plant was here, and then there was a baggage compartment, and then the passenger compartment here. So it was really a radical design. This had a 300 horsepower engine in it, which was pretty underpowered, and it ran a pulley, and that ran the wheels on the original ones. This was a later model. This is when they went to 600 horsepower. The radiator is up here, the motor is here. And then they had a post office. The U.S. Post Office bought 15-foot sections of cars, either 15, 30, 45, or 60 feet long. And that was the traveling post office. And you could even put mail right there. You could even stick a letter in there, and when the train stopped, and it would be taken to its however they sorted it. And then this one had a baggage compartment, and then a separate passenger carrying car here. And one of these is at the Illinois Railway Museum that's in the process of restoration on that. Okay, now let's just take a few minutes to explain what happened with railroads. So railroads, of course, were growing. This is passenger miles, one passenger traveling 1 mile. And it was growing up through World War I, because what was happening to the U.S.? Well, we had a lot of immigration. Back then we welcomed people, so a lot of people were coming to the U.S., and then there were bigger families. So the population was growing and affluence was growing. People were becoming more affluent, so there was more travel that happened. And then services were being consolidated in cities. So even Gilbert had a doctor and a hardware store at one time, and that's when the services were brought to where the people lived. But that consolidation started in the 1920s. So even with affluence and increasing population, the ridership was really plummeting. And most of this was the short trips, less than 50-mile trips. So we had high-speed trains from Ames to Des Moines. We had hourly trains running 60 miles an hour in 1912. But as the roads were built, then the people bought cars, and then they weren't riding the train. So by 1928, the train to Des Moines that was the end of the train to Des Moines. And the railroads actually created their own bus lines because everything was under a franchise regulated by the state. So they would build a bus line parallel to their railroad so that some other bus line wouldn't come in. At World War I, there were 80 different intercity bus companies in Iowa. So it was there were a lot of buses in Iowa. And then, of course, the Depression, but the ridership started to go back. There still were affluent people in the Depression. It was widespread, but there were still affluents. And the railroads were marketing long-distance trips to national parks and vacations and things like that. The vacation concept was developing then. And of course, World War II, everything exploded in terms of railroad ridership. And then after the war, that's when a lot of railroads made a lot of investments starting 1945 to recover from the problems that they had in providing transportation during World War II, and it didn't work. There was a little blip there, and then by 1955, the Interstate Highway Network was proposed and construction started, and then the railroads got serious about it was really hard to abandon a train because they had to go through a really long legal process, but it was really easy to provide lousy service. Running out of food on the trains, not maintaining them, running them late. So the railroads really worked on poor service to scare people away, and it worked. A few railroads didn't. The Santa Fe ran quality service up to the end in the Burlington, but the Eastern railroads tried to do as little as possible. And then we have Amtrak, and then as you can see, not much has happened. And if you extend this graph out all the way over here, you'll see that it's about the same. So Amtrak has 55 years of not really doing too much other than maintaining what they have. So Again, we look at the streamlining here, airplanes, Greyhound buses. The railroads used to say we have to charge more than an airplane because it takes longer to get you where you're going, which was the antithesis of travel. You wanted to get there quickly, but so let's switch to the equipment. So this was the first streamliner. This is 1934. This is the Burlington Railroad, and it has the power car up here, like the McKean car, and then it has the post office and the baggage compartment. This one had a longer baggage compartment, and then it was half coach, and in the back was a coach. So this was really a radical idea. It was all coupled together. It was one. I mean, it pivoted, swiveled, but it was a one unit. So if something didn't work back here, then the whole train was out of service. So it was a great idea until something mechanical didn't work. And this was stainless steel, which was a radical design. A lot of things were happening in material science at the time. It had a rounded front, not that pointed nose like the McKean car. This worked just as well, and it was easier to fabricate. But you had the engineer up here and the fireman, and then it had a design so that the wind would go around the car and kind of over the car. Several people that did the design here designed railroad cars as well as other things. So Raymond Loewy was probably the one of the most well-known, and Henry Dreyfuss did a lot of work on the New York Central. This is a car on the Hiawatha trains, the Milwaukee Road Hiawathas, and it's at the end of the train, and it was rounded at the end, and it had all this glass, so it was really easy to see. This is what it looked like on the inside of the car, and this was the outside. But the front end, now this one is a streamlined steam locomotive. So steam power at that time in the 1920s and 30s was evolving and becoming much more efficient than the earlier steam engines, and was more efficient than diesels even up into the 1940s. Some of the late 1940s steam engines were more efficient than the diesels. And actually were actually efficient in terms of energy, but also cost efficient. So this again had the same principle with the rounded front with a slope to it. Oh, and I should say, and I will say later, you can ride this car in Minnesota in July, but we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so this was another type of design, auto cooler. And this had a bullet nose on it, and again, the streamlining around the front for the wind to go around it, and then the shrouding on the top. So what affects wind resistance is irregularity. So you even see that on some trucks now. They have a skirt between the wheels to keep the wind so it doesn't keep it away from the tires. So this was a really nice design, and and some of them actually had the shrouding came all the way over here, and but that was hard for maintenance, and maintenance guys don't like to do anything that they don't have to do. So a lot of that came off fairly early. This is the Milwaukee Road again. This is a shot up in Milwaukee, and this is a high-speed locomotive, 90 miles an hour was the standard. Again, the same kind of design, a very powerful, very efficient locomotive. And they had, these aren't stripes. This is actually, can't think of the name of it now, the metal strengthened by the shape of the metal. And that was a standard design for the Milwaukee Road. And then a railroad not wanting to miss any opportunity, they called this a streamlined locomotive. Hardly. Basically, it had the new paint scheme on it, and they would advertise it as a streamliner. And this is actually the same wheel arrangement as that previous one, a smaller locomotive. But so streamlining was popular. It caught on with the public, so everything's a streamliner, whether it is or not. This is from Stuart Buck. This is in Ames, 1934, and this is the Union Pacific first streamliner, M10,000. And it did a tour, a 17-day tour of the Northwestern and the Union Pacific before it went into service. And this was a different design. It had the streamlining in front here, but this was the intake to the radiators because this was internal combustion. And this is a turnout in Ames. These are a lot of people in Ames down at the station. And what they did is they stopped, and the mayor, I can't remember who the mayor was in 1934, city council and a bunch of university people got on, rode over to Boone at a high speed. So that was part of the promotion at that when it started. This is a Stuart Buck print, and this again is a variation on that M10,000. They had several of them, and they had a vertical light because they were so quiet compared to the steam engine that people didn't know the train was coming, and they couldn't tell how far away it was. But when that vertical light, you could see the vertical light, so you knew where the train was coming. So that was a design element to not only let the passengers know waiting at the station, but people working on the track that there was something coming down the track. This is a later design. They figured out that if the toilet doesn't work, you don't take the whole train out of service. So they made detachable cars here. So this is a slightly later version than that M10,000. And this is two power units here. By this time, they were up to, I think, 1,200 horsepower. Ultimately, they got to 1,800, but I think this was a 1,200. And then you can see there's about 10 or 12 cars here. So that little 3-car train wouldn't work because there was just too much demand. So that's how they took, and this is replacing the old heavy-duty cars. They're lighter weight cars, which requires less horsepower, more efficiency, things like that. Here's the evolution of the locomotive. So that M10,000 here, you can see that it sort of got the wind over there, but the problem was if it hit something, it would bounce up and then either break the windshield or, and there were several injuries of train crews where they would hit a car and it would bounce up and break the window. So the first solution was to move the train crew back farther and have this big, long nose protection there. And then, of course, again, this was the radiator intake. The problem was you couldn't see right in front of you because of the high line here, and it was about 500 feet before you'd actually see what was on the ground, which didn't work too good if you were operating at a slow speed and there were grade crossings, or even a guy wanted to worker trying to get you to stop. So they came up with this variation on it, and this became more or less the standard, where you have a shorter nose, but again, it'll still, if it hits something, it'll still bounce it and it'll go over the cab, and then that'll protect the train crews. This is a nice shot of the Chicago Northwestern. They had the Streamliners, the 2 designs I just showed you, but they also had 10 steam locomotives. And they have, again, that design like I had shown you earlier, where the wind goes around the locomotive, and then they have the shrouding on the top. And so they had 10 of those, but these only ran from Chicago to Omaha. There were 10 of them. This locomotive could go cross country. So it has a Union Pacific shield on it. It has the Northwestern and the Southern Pacific, which provided some of the service to the California destinations. So let's look quickly at the trains. So this is the original M10,000. It became the city of Salina. 3 cars went from Salina to Kansas City every day, made 1 round trip. And it met the demand quite well. Then they started the city of Portland, and this has 2 power units on it. And then the different cars, baggage cars, and then diner and the coaches and sleepers and all that. And they got out to 11 cars. City of Denver was 14 cars. And then the city of Los Angeles was 17 cars. And the city of San Francisco, excuse me, was 17 cars. Why 17 cars? That was the length of the platform in Chicago. You couldn't get a longer train there. So that's why 17 cars was the limit. Now, what happened in at seasonal peaks like Thanksgiving or Christmas, they would run two trains, and one would be what they called an advance. It would leave 30 or 60 minutes ahead of the regularly scheduled train, or it would follow. So there might be a second section. Sometime on the East Coast, sometimes they even ran three or four sections, three or four of these trains at the same length in the peak times of year. So here's a shot in Chicago coming out of it's now the Ogilvy Transportation Center. Just shows a nice classic curved shot of it. Shows the whole train and coming out of there. Um, and then we even had trolley streamliners, interurban streamliners. They use the same design principle of streamlining. This was Cedar Rapids to Iowa City. And they bought these used from the Indiana Railroad when it went out of business in 37 or 38. And they ran from Cedar Rapids to Iowa City up until 1953, I believe. Someone in this audience will correct me, but I can't remember the exact date. And so that was a very efficient. The trains ran hourly between Cedar Rapids and Iowa City. And I really liked this route. The route was a freight route. And then 25 years ago, the freight portion in Iowa City was down to like one or two trains a week. Only a couple of industries. So there was a study done in the 1980s to bring this back. And let's have commuter trains, trolley cars, something like that. And it was a great study. Everyone said it's a wonderful study. And then nothing happened. And then so in about year 2000, someone said, oh, that the right of way is still there. There's no trains on it now. Let's bring that trolley back. So they did another study, spent another $500,000 on the study. And the result was, yes, we should bring that back. So nothing happened. So now there's another study going on. And it's another $500,000 or $600,000. That's why consulting is a good business, because you just look up the old stuff and put your name on it. So anyway, it'll come out with the same conclusion that we really should have a Cedar Rapids to Iowa City train. And some of you have gray hair in here, so I will say that when your great-grandchildren are collecting Social Security, there might be a train running there, okay? But one of the reasons, about 1989, the Amtrak proposed coming through Ames, and the state legislature passed a bill to prohibit the state of Iowa from subsidizing train service in the state. And I think that still exists. So you can study it all you want, but nothing's going to happen. So, and that's in the Code of Iowa. So, but we'll go through, look a couple of quick ones here. So this is the Rock Island. These are the Rockets. This is in Des Moines, and the trains would meet each other. So you had the Kansas City to Minneapolis train would meet the Omaha to Chicago train. People would jump off, get on the other train if they had to transfer. There's also a study going on for bringing back Kansas City to Minneapolis on the spine line that goes through Nevada here. And I'm sure that'll be another $500,000 study, and they'll say it's a great idea. But things are changing in railroad world. You know how we used to have about 100 trains a day through Ames, and now it's about 50, but they're really, really long. Well, what that does is it frees up track space, so passenger trains actually could fit into the freight network now. And there's a line from Fort Collins to Denver, and is actually going to, by the Burlington, and it's going to have 3 trains on it here in about 2 or 3 years. So there's a slight thaw in the animosity of the railroads towards passenger trains. This is a Rock Island Rocket. This is at the end of the Rock Island. After Amtrak started, the Rock Island didn't join Amtrak, so they had to keep running their trains. And I used to ride it from when I went home to visit my parents from Chicago to my parents' house, and it was a pretty raunchy railroad at the end, because they didn't want to do anything, and they sure didn't. So that's why I just like this picture. This is one of the city trains. This is just to the east of Boone. And this is a typical train. It has Northwestern locomotives on it, and then it has a lot of Union Pacific cars on it. And those went, right to Portland, Denver, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and in between. This is Metra in Chicago. They do heritage units, and they make a unit in the paint scheme of their previous railroad that it ran on. So this was the Chicago Northwestern Heritage Unit, and they have 11 different heritage railroads where they 10 of them have those schemes on them for that individual railroad. So now we're going to talk a little bit about streamliners that no longer went to Ames, okay? So this is the Northwestern here. The Union Pacific and the Northwestern had a relationship from the very first transcontinental railroad. And then this is the Milwaukee Road that came in later. And the Milwaukee was always the last railroad in any market. And it's amazing some of the markets they chose. And then the Milwaukee went bankrupt 3 times because they would build these lines. Couldn't afford the capitalization as well as the operation. But this is an interesting story in the change in streamliners because what the Northwestern, the President Heinemann in 1954 said, I really don't like those passenger trains because they use up too much track time, and we got to get the freight trains out of the way. We make money on freight. We don't make money on passenger trains. So let's run those trains poorly. And they did that. So the trains were really running late. The Union Pacific had a pretty high standard, and they wanted the trains to run on time. So the Milwaukee and the Union Pacific talk, and then Milwaukee says, oh, that we have track capacity. We will take all of your passenger trains and get them off of the Northwestern. And then Milwaukee said, this is good. This is not the mid 50s. It's like, this is real status. We really are an influential railroad. And what happened, they figured that Milwaukee, without a written guarantee, said, once we're running these passenger trains, then the Union Pacific will give us freight trains, and then we can make a lot more money. Well, the Union Pacific said, thank you for getting those passenger trains over there, and now the Northwestern has a lot of track capacity, so we're going to run the freight trains on the Northwestern because they can get to Chicago quicker without the delays caused by the passenger trains on the Milwaukee Road. Interestingly, this is a bike path, and this one is still a railroad, so those are good decisions. But I do like this slide. I do like, this is the classic late 50s Milwaukee train, but the schedule is really interesting. So you could get on, let's see, it's hard for me to read this. You could get on at 12:45, you could get on in Chicago, and you would be in Des Moines at 5:05. Okay, get your calculator out on that. That's pretty fast, right? You can't drive that now, and if you fly on United, you might get there. But you got to get to the airport and all that other stuff. So that was really fast. And then the afternoon train going to Chicago, you left at 4 o'clock, and 4.5 hours later, you were in Chicago. So really fast service on that. So Illinois Central, now this is not the land of corn. This is at 183rd Street because my grade school was right over here, and we would go, because we knew when the trains were coming, we'd go sit under the bridge, and they'd make a lot of noise when they went over. So got on our Schwinn bikes and rode over there. I just had to put that one in there. This is the land of corn at Dubuque, and again, the same classic design. And Illinois Central really had some really pretty locomotives and cars, and they kept their standards up fairly well. They were a very busy railroad in the South. They had a lot of branch lines and very high ridership all the way up into the mid-60s. The Burlington, this is their what they called E units, and again, the same design, and they often ran 2, 3, sometimes even 4 power units on there. And then they would have their versions of the trains from Seattle, Denver. They would meet and then have one really long passenger train, 17 cars on that, and sometimes 2 sections. And this is the triple track in the Chicago suburbs. So the commuter trains were on these outside tracks, and then the through trains, freight or passenger, were in the middle so that they didn't get delayed by the commuter trains, which was a problem with some of the other railroads. And then the Santa Fe in Iowa the only stop was at Fort Madison, still an Amtrak stop, and just a nice, pretty design, pretty color scheme. So let's look at riding the train. We have um, pri the original passenger trains were not very comfortable, and comfort evolved on that. Um, but by the time the Streamliners were there, it was very comfortable. The suspension on the trains was different. The speeds were different. The track was well maintained. I put this one in because everyone knows who this guy was, right? Our president back when he was an actor. And he would ride, if he had to go to New York, it was 48 hours from Los Angeles to Chicago, 16 hours to New York. So if you were going cross country, it was 3 days. So you wanted a comfortable ride. And he was a spokesman for the Union Pacific. And they tied their brand to certain actors and color schemes, and even the food was branded by the different railroads. Okay, so this is a typical passenger compartment. So this is the daytime. You have two seats, and then you have another. These are fixed, and then this one you can turn it to look out the window or whatever. And then at night, the beds fold down, so you can have one person, or sometimes two little kids up here, and then mom and dad can be down here. And we did that a few times on Amtrak. And then the smaller compartments, this is two compartments together. You could buy two compartments. This is where there was a wall, and you take it apart, and then you could have several people, a family in the two compartments. Had a flip down little sink, and then the toilet was behind where we're looking at. So individual toilets in the rooms. If you were in this part, this was the bed folded down at night, and then you had a chair during the day, and this was your space. It wasn't an individual room; it was open to the walkway, and then a little curtain came down at night. I know you couldn't get away with that now, but that was the norm back then. And then the bathroom was at the end of the hall. So they had a women's bathroom that was bigger than the men's bathroom, even though there were more men traveling. And that was a design issue. So now we have the dining car, and this has the dining area, and then there was a socialization area, I guess you would call it. People that were waiting to eat could sit here. And of course, we have the ubiquitous ashtray, because there was an ashtray, lots of ashtrays. And so you would wait here, and then when your table was available, the porter or the steward would come get you and seat you. And you had a reserved time, like when you got on the train, you were going to eat at 6:30 or 7:30 or 7. So you had reserved times. That's how they kept it, so you didn't get a lot of people packed in there all at one time. This is another variation. Again, you can see the colors on it. And this was a club car where they had a bar here, and then you could sit and socialize. And again, we had the ashtrays, and you could sit. You're going to be on the train for a day or two, or however many hours you're going to be on the train. You went back there and you met other people. A lot of businessmen were traveling, and so they would talk to each other. This is a typical situation. This is a staged photo because you have the family and the mom with the little kids and all that stuff, and only a couple of businessmen. But the reality is much more of a business travelers type thing. And then the car attendant would come and you take your order and this is for drinks and snacks and stuff like that. And so he would work the car there. And then this was a variation again on that, where the bar attendant stayed there, and you came up and got your drinks, and then you there were places to sit and talk and meet people. So one of the successes of the Streamliners was travel, and it put a lot of money into the economy, into the railroad. But travel was increasing. Vacation travel was increasing. People were actually getting vacations then. Vacations was an uncommon concept in the 19th century. In the 20th century, vacations became more common, and people wanted to travel. So. Um, this top picture over here on the left shows a two-person table and then a four-person table. And then the bottom one is a four-person table on each side. And what they would do is if you were traveling alone, I used to travel on Amtrak many years ago. I gave it up after some bad experiences, but they'd sit you there and then they'd find someone, next person, well, not necessarily the next person, they would find someone about your age and sit you there so that you would talk to someone who was also traveling and had a lot of great conversations on that. If you were a couple, you would sit at this table and then they'd bring another couple to sit next to you. And this is where they brought food to the in the coach. They could bring food to you on some of the railroads would serve food to your chair. And then, so this is the typical, this is the, can't think of his name, the maitre d, basically, the steward. And then he had his servers. They usually worked about four to six tables, depending on the railroad. And then this is what you're not going to get on an airline, a really nice seat, and you could stretch out and had little footrests if you wanted. Some people would buy coach for the whole travel. I mean, they might go 48 hours in a coach, which would be a little rough. But if you were going just for a day or something, then it was really a nice way to stretch out and watch the scenery go by. This is a cutaway on a dome liner, the Union Pacific dome. They called them dome liners, but all the railroads had them. I like this one. This was not common, but you had the standard eating area here, as we just saw before. But usually there was a second car, like those cars I showed, which was all the food service in that. But this one also had you could get food in the upper level here, the dome dining room. You had to reserve it, and then you'd have that nice view as you were eating your meal. But this also had a meeting room, two meeting rooms in it. So if you were taking your team, your coworkers somewhere, you could reserve this dining room and have your meeting. Now everybody's got to meet and do all this talk stuff. Well, back then you kind of talked and made decisions, So this was the way that they did that. And you were going to be on the train if you're going, Chicago to Los Angeles, you're going to be on the train for 2 days. So probably I'd like to get the sociology of that that dynamic and see what happens. I haven't seen anything written on that, and then in here we have the food prep area with the grill and the salad bar. Another staged shot there, just to show you what the dome liner was like. And it's also how people dressed back then to ride the train. And that was true. You dressed to ride the train. So we'll go quickly to workers. So this is a typical crew on a passenger train. So we have our kitchen crew here. We've got our servers here. We got the locomotive engineer, fireman, the head brakeman, the conductors, the porters. That's a classic crew. And you can see why railroads were expensive because that's a lot of people to move maybe 200 people. The ratio of workers needed or passengers carried to workers is much higher on railroads than it is on airlines, forgetting about maintenance and all that other stuff. They also had what they called train riders, and this was basically a mechanic that rode the train. So if you had a plugged toilet or an outlet didn't work or something like that, that guy was on the train to solve the problem. briefly want to mention Pullman porters. I could do a whole hour on Pullman porters, just a fascinating history. This was the middle class job for black males from the 1880s when they started all the way up to the end. Um, so this is the number of porters, or one porter per car. They used to go end to end, and then later they went divisions. So you might have two different porters on your train if like Chicago to Denver and a different porter Denver to the West Coast. But originally they were end to end. And this is a porter making up that room that I showed earlier where he puts the curtain up. And this is the hallway where everybody walks. So they made the beds up usually while you were eating. And then the stewards were that's right, stewards is the name that served you. They were all black. The guy in charge was white, classic racism of the time. Um, and then we also had hostesses. On the Burlington, they were called Zephyrettes, keeping that name of Zephyr. Um, and they would help with a lot of the problems. If you're going to be on the train and you got a little kid and you got a problem, they would help you with that problem. You might spend 48 hours with a 2-year-old in a little compartment. So they would help mom with the various things. And then there's some videos of kids like 8 years old or 10 years old traveling alone. So the stewardess, the hostess would make sure the kid was safe and all that stuff. Well, you didn't have to worry too much back then, but make sure they got on and off at the right place and got food, stuff like that, any questions they had. Um, so just a couple other pictures here of helping with mom with the baby. Okay, we'll finish here with Ames. This is again that picture in Ames of the classic, the 1934 picture. Of course, you all know that the depot is still here. You can get cornbread and then watch the trains go by. So some people have been known just to sit there for an hour or two or three and order something and watch the trains. It's not as interesting now because there aren't as many trains, but usually in a couple hours you'll see some trains. These are the trains through Ames. And these are the names of all the trains that came through here. Now, you didn't have 11 in each direction every day. Some of them were Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Some of them were daily. They started in the late 30s, early 40s, just once a week. And then after World War II, many of them got up to daily service. So these are the different trains that did come through Ames on the Northwestern. And another shot of the depot here. There was actually a subway to go underneath the tracks, and that existed up until the 1980s. We had the freight yard here to the south of the station where Culver's is and all that business. And then this little track was a stub track for the train that went from Des Moines to Eagle Grove. It would come from Des Moines back in here and then wait, and people could transfer to and from. At one time, there were 10 trains a day between Des Moines and Eagle Grove. This is a streamline locomotive coming into Ames. Just a nice shot of that as he rolled in. And then this is a Stuart Buck painting of the more modern locomotive, and then a freight locomotive over here. Stuart Buck has a lot of paintings. There's a bunch of them up at the hospital. He does really great railroad work. And this is a shot at Duff Avenue. The crossing guard was up here. He would push a button so the gates would go up and down before they had automatic gates. This is Boyd Dairy over here, and these are the downtown buildings, many of which are still here. This is a train leaving eastbound, and the last train in Ames was April 15th, 1960. So anyone that says I rode a train in the 70s in Ames has got a little, may have a decade, maybe a decade off or so. So after the Northwestern got rid of the Union Pacific trains, they still had 3 trains that went from Chicago to Omaha, the Corn King, the Omahan, and then the Kate Shelley 400. And that lasted 5 years. And then again, they found that if they provide lousy service, people won't use it. So the Kate Shelley ended up just running Clinton to Chicago up until Amtrak came in 1970. So in 1960, they had their major cutback where the trains no longer came through Ames. So those of you who waste your time on YouTube, I will admit to that. All you have to do is Streamliners of yesterday up in that little search bar, and you'll get a lot of really good, great videos. When I did the OLLI class, I played some of them. They're all 6 to 8 minute clips, and it shows you what life was like on the train, including that 8-year-old boy that was riding alone from grandma's house to back home. So Streamliners, Pentrex is was a producer back in the DVD days, and they converted a lot of old movies into DVDs. And then Domeliner is the other thing to search, and you'll get some of the videos come up under Domeliner, some of them come up under Streamliner. But that'd be a great exercise for any evening to do that. So we'll close with some opportunities here. So this is the Friends of the 261 is a group, came out of Minneapolis. They now own the old Rock Island shops in Silvis, and they've restored this locomotive 261, which was one of the last Milwaukee Road locomotives. And this thing runs at high speed. This is really a great locomotive. They have a diesel, a Streamliner, and then they have the dome cars here, original dome cars from the 1950s. And then they have that observation car here, and they've restored that. And July 17th to the 19th, they have basically 3-hour trips up in somewhere Minnesota, Chippewa something, Falls or Lake or something. So they're going to have some, and they run them at speed. They run them up to 49 miles an hour. So if you want to have that authentic experience, just go look at Friends of 261, and you'll be able to find that. It's not cheap because what they're doing is they're paying for the restoration. It's private. There's no federal or state money in the restoration. So that's a nice ride. And last year they were in Illinois, this year Minnesota, and no telling where they'll be next year. Boone and Scenic Valley. Oh, I see volunteers here from the Boone and Scenic Valley. So the season begins May 23rd. And we have a dinner train, a dessert train, the Fraser train, and then we got all these specialty things like Valentine's and pumpkin trains and Christmas and all that kind of stuff. So encourage you to get over there. They are running, I think it's a dessert train starting tomorrow. So you can go over there. And if you want to, if you're physically capable and enjoy interacting with people, you can become a volunteer over there. You don't need well, if you're going to run the train, it's a very extensive training program because you have to comply with Federal Railroad Administration requirements. If you want to be a train attendant, help people on and off the train, there's a training program for that, but it's relatively short. So I encourage people to volunteer in anything. So Boone and Scenic Valley is one place to volunteer. Illinois Railway Museum, they have a Burlington Streamliner. It gets up to about 40 miles an hour on their track, a really nice restoration on that. You got to go to irm.org. It does not run every week. It runs about once a month. And then they have something going every weekend now. And then after Memorial Day, they run daily trains. But you got to go to their website to see what they're running. And then, of course, my favorite, Ames History Museum. You can all volunteer there. Or why don't you just go over there? Previous board members are here, volunteers are here, so really nice. Right over there, the old Pantorium building, Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We've got a really nice exhibit up on the second floor of Ames people involved in politics and nice artifacts, and really, as everything at Ames History Museum, a really nice, elegant presentation. So I encourage you to get there. So that's the brief overview of Streamliners.